Today, we are diving deep into 22 different anxiety symptoms. My question to you is, can you relate to any of these? Let's go. My friends, welcome to another important video on my channel. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do to receive one of the best anxiety support places, communities that you can find on YouTube as well. If you want to learn more about any of my anxiety recovery programs, click right here. And we are diving into anxiety symptoms today, my friends, because I thought, I've never done a video like this where I really project a lot of the symptoms that I used to experience, as well as see commonalities between so many anxiety sufferers over the last 15 years. Now, I'm not providing these anxiety symptoms to you for reassurance purposes, because if you go around looking for reassurance as to whether your anxiety symptom is related to anxiety or something physical, and if you do that all the time, then you're going to find that you're always living in a state of fear. And I don't want that for you. When I project these anxiety symptoms, what's important for you is to understand that the understanding around these symptoms can lead you to clear thinking over frantic thinking. Meaning, okay, I'm in a position here where I recognize that all these symptoms have similar characteristics. They come and go, they travel within the body, and a lot of this is related to my mental and emotional suppression, as well as the inability to express a lot of the things that I've been thinking and feeling throughout my life. So today, it goes far beyond just the symptoms, but let's dive in to see if you can relate to any of these, and I'm going to describe them in detail. The first anxiety symptom comes down to brain fog. Okay, have you ever experienced brain fog? And this brain fog feels like there's always kind of a mist in front of you as you're going about your day. You have to really feel like I'm focusing on something. I see it, but my eyes keep moving here or there and everywhere, and it feels very misty. Not only that, it feels like a heaviness, and we're going to get into that one later on, but a certain heaviness that comes with the brain fog. So if you're experiencing this one, comment below. Another anxiety symptom that I see often is physical vibrations, okay? Like especially when you're laying down, doing meditation, want to take a nap. It's interesting how when we start to present relaxation, calmness to a system that's been so hyped for so many years, that it starts to project a feeling, initially a feeling that says, I don't like this. And what goes on with that are the vibrations, and it feels like ants are crawling through your whole body. It feels like you're vibrating. And this can be very, very evident once we aren't doing anything and we actually become the beer, right? We are being, meaning we're sitting or laying down, we're not doing anything. So physical vibrations, have you ever experienced these? Comment below. Another one is heart thumping. And heart thumping, for me, it was like this heart thumping feeling in my stomach. I would feel my heartbeat in my stomach, and also I would feel my heartbeat in my ears as soon as I laid down and my head touched the pillow. And I was going, this isn't right. I'm so aware of my heart rate right now, and I'm, back in the day, I used to be so concerned over this. Is my heart just going to jump out? What's going on here? So this can become so chronic over time, and it can really eat up on a person's willpower, where they start to overly focus on the heart thumping and overly focus on the heart palpitations that come with it. And next thing you know, you're so fixated on your chest, your heart, that you can't even go about your day focusing on what's going on around you. So this is another symptom, my friends. Another one is the lump in the throat feeling, okay? And with the lump in the throat feeling, it's a sensation. It feels like there's a golf ball stuck in your throat all day long. And the truth is this: the emotional causes that come with the lump in the throat feeling have everything to do with a lack of expressing yourself, okay? And I've seen this again and again and again. Do not rely on things like chamomile tea and such in order to release the lump in the throat feeling, because chamomile tea will do a very good job for your nerves long term, these sorts of things. But when it comes to the lump in the throat feeling or sensation, you need to express some ideas, some feelings to someone, either in your present or your past, and you need to do it with a high degree of emotional intensity, believing in the words that are coming out of your mouth. So if you're experiencing this lump in the throat feeling, our fourth symptom here, make sure that you truly understand that this has a lot to do with suppression, and it's time to express. And as you do this, you start to become authentic. And a lot of the keys around anxiety recovery and healing is becoming authentic once again, right? Let's go to our fifth symptom here. Short-term memory loss. Where did I put my keys, right? Did I just eat food? What did I eat? What was I just doing 10 seconds ago, right? We feel like we're having these short-term memory lapses, different from the long-term stuff where you start to recognize pictures and flashbacks and imagery based on what took place in your past. That's a bit different. This, in terms of the anxiety symptom, is you got such a heaviness and you're so concerned over your health, you're so concerned over the fear of dying or doing the wrong thing, or you're so fixated on something to worry about that it's become so chronic to the point where you're doing things, but you're not really engaged in what you're doing. And because you're not engaged in what you're doing, the brain doesn't believe it's important. It's not important to remember what you did 10 seconds ago or what you ate, because you're so focused on other things. So if you're going through short-term memory loss, understand that this is a very common symptom with anxiety. Comment below if you're going through it, my friends. Another one is body tightness and tension. Oh my God, as I went through the day, I remember how tight my body used to get. So tight, so rigid. And I would do endless amounts of yoga and stretching and flexibility in the body. And these things help to some degree, right? But in truth, you know where the flexibility lies. The flexibility that I needed to tap into was the mental and the emotional flexibility. This is a feedback loop between the brain and the body, my friends. What happens in the mind happens in the body, and around we go. So as I became more flexible in my thinking, saying, well, maybe instead of fearing death, maybe we're just really going home, right? This sort of thing. Maybe instead of me always feeling angry about this, I could think about it from another person's perspective. Now I'm becoming flexible in my thinking, right? Instead of being so perfect all the time and shooting for this standard that's impossible to reach, why don't I just go ahead and be imperfect for a while and see how that feels? So the mental flexibility led to my body being very, very flexible as well. And the tightness, the rigidity, the tension dissipated over time. So that's another very important point there, my friends. Another one is jelly legs. And jelly legs, like, oh God, what, are my legs gonna give out, right? What's going on there, right? And this usually occurs when somebody has to put themselves out there, such as public speaking. You're about to go speak in public, and I believe this is the top 3 fears that humans have, is public speaking, and you start to feel the jelliness in your legs, and you feel like, oh gosh, like what's going on with my legs? They don't feel strong. They don't feel grounded beneath me. So these jelly-legged feelings start to arise. Now again, Let's talk about a quick solution to something like this, jelly legs, and you're feeling it. It's important that you remind yourself that your legs are strong, number one, and you no longer have to fall for the sensation or the feeling that you feel, the interpretation around that coming from your lower self or your ego mind, trying to get you off the stage. Okay, that's what it is. The jelly legs is there to try to prevent you from getting on the plane, public speaking, putting yourself out there, even being authentic. You start to feel authentic, more playful, more flexible in your life. The jelly legs may show up so that you don't present this new character to the outside world, right? And so as long as you recognize that, you can go, oh, I know what this is. This is called clear thinking. I know what this is. You're trying to prevent me from getting outside my comfort zones environmentally, mentally, authentically, and all these sorts of things. Thank you for the protection, but we no longer need it, right? And that's the approach that we need, my friends. Comment below if you're going through jelly legs. Another symptom is bodily aches and pains. Okay, bodily aches and pains, especially I hear a lot about the knees and the lower back. Knees, again, have to do with an inflexibility around what's going to take place in your future. If you see your future as doom and gloom or just as traumatic as your past was, there can be aches in the knees. You see how the emotional is connected to the physical. If you feel unsupported by other people or professionals out there, or just don't feel like you have the guidance you need right now in your life, the direction, lower back issues. So that has a lot to do with support. So as you can see, bodily aches and pains go hand in hand with the anxieties, with the sensitivities that we have, right? These sorts of things. Headaches and head heaviness. I know we touched on brain fog. This goes hand in hand a little bit. It's like a heavy feeling. It feels like you're carrying around, 10 watermelons in your head. It's so heavy. And if you move it too fast, then it starts to feel like not a good feeling, right? So, and also there's an achy feeling that comes with that, the head ache and the head heaviness. Now, what you want to understand, because I'm trying to give you solutions to each and every one of these, at least something to reflect on, is that anything regarding the head, such as the headache or the heaviness in the head, has a lot to do with, and this is feedback, of course. You've been mentally trying to problem solve for too long. And if there's too much activity going on in the cortex, what's going to happen is it tends to feel overloaded. We're not living through our hearts. We're not living through intuitiveness. We're not living through creativeness. We're living to try to protect from the next problem that could go wrong. That could be socially or physically or whatever it may be, mentally even. So we're so fixated on trying to solve problems from the mental standpoint. And if this is the case and there's a lot of worry and a lot of stress in your life, unknowingly going on for years, then you can experience the headaches and head heaviness, my friends. The next symptom is getting tired quickly. You walk up the stairs and you're going, oh my God, I'm so tired. And you're breathless and you feel sore and your dizziness is kicking in and these sorts of things. And so what I've noticed with getting tired very, very quickly is a lot of that has to do with the person in a stage of burnout. Mental, physical burnout. This just means that you've passed your threshold and it's time to revert back to a place of more balanced, a balanced way of living your life. And that means really checking to see your priorities in your life, right? Giving yourself ample rest time, adding surrender sessions and meditations to your daily habits. So it's time to reel it back and stop living for everybody else and start living for yourself. That doesn't mean selfishness, it just means self first. And that's an important mindset and intention to take with you if you're experiencing this getting tired quickly feeling. Another symptom is indecision about simple things. So again, we're talking about decision making here. You're at the restaurant and you got the menu in front of you and you're going, well, it's just so hard to make a decision. I can't decide, right? Or who should drive, you or me? I just can't decide. You make decisions for me. So the simplest things that you used to make decisions about become very, very difficult. So what you want to do here is become very decisive in your action. You drive, I'll order this. And once you do, you want to put feeling into it, knowing that you've made the right decision. You are concrete, you are certain about your decision. Because this is a choice. Even though you feel indecisive, it doesn't mean you have to be indecisive. That's a more than anxiety moment right there. Take it in, take it in. Just because I feel it doesn't mean I have to enact it, right? I can defy the orders of my lower self or my ego mind, because now it's time to send guidance to the side, and I am decisive, firm with my decisions, right? The next one is circulation issues. So you'll put your hands up or arms up, and 2 seconds later you feel like you've got no feeling in your arms or feeling in your hands or feet. You put your feet or legs up, you can't seem to do those things. And so a lot of these symptoms I will provide answers for, yes, for sure. And when it comes to this one, it's important that we don't focus on one particular type of answer. There's a lot of things that go hand in hand in order for us to release a lot of these symptoms, a lot of the stagnancy in the body energetically, right? So I just want you to consider the circulation issues and understand that this can be another symptom of rigidity, right? If I were to give any kind of advice for circulation issues, it would be movement. Okay, move more often. Go for a walk, stretch your body out a bit more. Don't be so stagnant. Circulation issues in this term happens to a lot of people that sit in a desk for long periods of time, in an office, in a chair, slumped over. And of course, if we enact a certain physiology, then we will feel the emotion that comes with it. They go hand in hand. If I enact an empowering physiology, I'm walking, then that sends a signal to my brain and to my body that says, hey, we are decisive, we are balanced from mind all the way down, from the top of my head to the tips of my toes, and this sends very powerful signals. So if you're going through circulation issues, movement would be my quick piece of advice for this one. Then we have profuse sweating. Oh my goodness. In social interactions, especially for me back in the day, profuse sweating. I could only wear t-shirts that were white or black, preferably black, because white showed my pit stains that came all the way out to here. I'm sorry for the visual, but it was true, right? And I was so uncomfortable around people, and not just people. This would happen at different times, but a lot of times during the social interactions. And this came down to, am I saying the right thing? Am I pleasing other people? People pleasers tend to experience this profuse amount of sweating. So if you can relate to being a people pleaser, it's time for you to understand that during those interactions you can loosen your body. You don't have to tense it up so much. And you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself to say and do the right thing around people. Ask yourself the question, am I acting in a way that helps my healing? Woo! Right? Now the focus is on you and your healing journey, and not so much on pleasing other people. And this will help with profuse sweating. Oh, the next one. This is probably the top 2 or 3 that I hear most often, and the one that I experienced, and it's dizziness. I'm so dizzy, I feel like I'm on a boat, it's rocking all the time. I've got these vision issues where I'm double visioned, I see double vision, but I feel like, and this was a very common thing. I used to hold on to bars and handrails to try to get through like the mall or this and that, because my system was just so overloaded. not only overloaded by the present environment and how many people were around me. Yes, the dizziness got worse in those situations, but any kind of caffeine, large amounts of people, stepping outside my comfort zones. Usually it wasn't so bad, like when I was in my bedroom or if I was laying down, those sorts of things, it wasn't so bad. But as soon as I had to kind of put myself out there, the alarms started to go off in my body and the dizziness started to show up as well. The best thing you can do for this dizziness is to fix your mindset. And it's easy to get fixated on the dizziness and say, oh, this is a brutal thing, it's awful, and it's absolutely awful. But we can't get caught up in that kind of thinking. You can think about it like this, and I share it with the Health Anxiety University members all the time. Oh, I'm dizzy. At least I don't have to go out and smoke weed, or I don't have to go and have a couple glasses of beer, or this and that. Those are just some examples, right? But at least I don't have to, do those things in order to feel a sense of floating, right? Because you can interpret this as I'm floating around. I'm floating throughout the day. Oh, my floating's getting worse. Okay. Oh, that means it's getting better. So you can actually interpret the dizziness as being a floating feeling, as Dr. Claire Weeks would talk about very often. And it doesn't have to be so doom and gloom as long as you see it in this way, right? So shift your mindset. It'll go a long way towards your overall recovery. Another one is lack of appetite. So there's a feeling of, yeah, I don't want to eat. And a lot of times this lack of appetite comes down to overly focusing on what you have to worry about, right? So I'm so concerned over worrying about my health or my kids' health or my husband's or my wife's health or what's happening in our finances or how many friends do I have, how many likes did I get. In the modern digital world, there's always something to pick up on. And if we're overly focused on our worries, then that can kind of take us away from having the appetite that we want. And diet is very, very important. In the future, I'm going to talk a lot about the connection between inflammation and anxiety, inflammation and emotional and mental health, and the connection between these two. And a lot of the inflammation that we can begin to reverse comes down to what you're eating and how often you're eating. So just to touch on the inflammation part that goes hand in hand with a lack of appetite, I used to take things like turmeric, lemon, certain teas like Pau de Arco. These sorts of things were very, very powerful to begin reversing the inflammation that I was feeling. And I started to focus my attention on my diet rather than randomly go about it. So if you're randomly going about your diet, that can really pitch into the inflammation that you feel in your body, which can provoke a lot of these symptoms, right? So that's just something on the lack of appetite and inflammation. Please look into it. We're going to dive deep into that in the videos and the podcasts in the future. Then the symptom of craving for sweet and salty foods. Okay, if you've got this craving for sweet and salty foods, that could be a symptom. And potato chips, chocolate, these sorts of things, right? They can really, oh, it's 5 p.m. Oh, my daily habit of going to get the chocolate or the bag of chips, right? Adrenal fatigue goes hand in hand with this. Burnout goes hand in hand with this. So instead of eating these kinds of food, I would recommend that you get a pinch of Himalayan salt and you add it to your water when you wake up in the morning. And as you do, you're going to find that the cravings for the sweets and the salty foods tend to go away over time. Don't put too much salt in there, okay? This is more so to take care of your burnout and your adrenal fatigue. Very, very powerful Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. Celtic salt, both very high in minerals, will go a long way towards what we're dealing with here. Bloating. So you may feel like bloating, like there's a lot of bloating going on, right? And this is a common symptom. It really is. If you're having the bloating sensation, a lot of emotional and mental health issues. I don't want to call them issues, right? Chapters in a person's life, chapters. Um, IBS, these irregularities going on in the digestive system, in the stomach, these sorts of things are very, very common. And again, diet will go a long way towards this. Number one, be very aware of what you're putting into your temple, your body. You want to honor your body, right? Don't randomize your diet. And it doesn't have to be anything specific. I tend to eat more so in the vegan slash Mediterranean type of diet myself. And I've only been focused on this for the last couple years, and it's made a lasting difference in my life. But for you, it may be a little bit different, right? Your foundation might be a little bit different. So play around with very healthy foods. Carry around a food mood journal to recognize what sort of emotional reactions you have to what you're eating, especially the junk foods, right? Stay away from the processed stuff completely. These things go a long way towards healing the bloating feeling. Bodily twitches. I used to think I was getting ALS or MS, these sorts of things with bodily twitches, especially in my tricep region, especially in my shoulders, triceps, sometimes in my eyes would start twitching, my ears would start twitching, my legs, my whole body would go through these twitches, especially when I was laying down. Now, here's the important thing you need to understand. Is that these twitches and often body jerks, like when you get these frantic jerks that show up, especially just prior to sleep, this is a way for your body to release the pent-up stress that you've been accumulating over the years. More than anxiety moment, hang on to this one. So the muscle twitches are not necessarily a bad thing. Although they're very uncomfortable, the body jerks are very uncomfortable, they're not bad things. They are signs that your body is releasing the stress that has been penting up, building up, accumulating in your body subconsciously throughout so many years. So this symptom must be welcomed, going, okay, I welcome you in. I like these symptoms because it shows that I'm releasing things. And a major part to anxiety healing and overall inner peace is to find ways to release the pent-up tension, the stress in your body. Emotional reframing practices on this channel will help you with that. So try not to be overly concerned about the bodily twitches, but see them as a form of release, especially when you start to relax. Over-peeing. I gotta go pee every 1.5 minutes. And man, this was crazy because I couldn't even drink water. I had a couple sips of water and I would, my system would just, my bladder was full. I'd go to the bathroom right away. I'd go to the bathroom, especially when I was outside. Wow, Dennis, you're really peeing a lot. Oh, I'm drinking a lot of water today, right? That would usually be my excuse. I'm drinking a lot of water. But in truth, from a survival perspective, along with other, we can go into why this tends to happen systematically, but from a survival perspective, the peeing gets us out of the threatening environment that the system feels like it's in, and it does that often enough so that we get the chance to leave that particular environment. Notice that the overpeeing doesn't really happen when you're in environments that make you feel safe, but they tend to happen in environments that you feel unconsciously and consciously unsafe. So a very common symptom here with anxiety, yes. Ringing in the ears. Ringing in the ears, that's an interesting one. Often ringing in the ears has something to do with the kidneys, so you want to look in that. Kidneys, adrenal glands that sit on top of the kidneys that are very, very important in setting off the alarm in the body, the fight or flight system. So we want to look into the ringing in the ears a little bit and recognize that we may be pushing ourselves beyond our threshold, beyond what we can take on. Ringing in the ears tends to happen often when you're laying down. Along with ringing in the ears and the vertigo, I just want to mention the vertigo a little bit. If you're getting up and you feel this vertigo, there may be an inner ear issue there that you want to take care of, so go see your physician for that. But for anxiety purposes, these are very, very common symptoms. Two more, shaky hands. So, you're having dinner and you gotta grab a spoonful of something and your hand just shakes as if you're 130 years old and you're going, what is this? What's going on? I'm not that old, right? It makes you feel old. So shaky hands can be one of those symptoms of deep sensitivity and stress for long periods of time. As we reel it back and calm the nervous system, what tends to happen is this symptom starts to dissipate and your hands tend to be very, very calm and relaxed over time. And finally, jaw clenching. And this is something that is unconscious. We tend to clench our jaws, right? Especially when we're faced with some news that we don't necessarily like, right? We clench our jaws because we're kind of suppressing the feeling of anger often, or the feeling of fear. And what we want to do is we want to recognize this and recognize the power in opposites. If my jaw is clenching, I want to release that jaw. If my shoulders are tense, I want to release the tension in my shoulders and let them droop. If my stomach feels tense, I want to let that go as well and stop holding tension there. So this is a common symptom of anxiety as well. My friends, did you relate to any of these symptoms here today, these anxiety symptoms that tend to show up unconsciously and consciously? Comment below on which symptom or symptoms you can relate to right now in your life, and most importantly, comment on the moment of clarity or the more than anxiety moment that you gained in relation to the solution that comes with that anxiety symptom, right? So maybe there's something that spoke to you there that goes hand in hand with the symptom. Lower back pain, lack of support, bodily twitching means the release of pent-up stress, these sorts of things. Lump in the throat, need more expression, less suppression. So comment below, and my friends, remember that you are more than anxiety. I hope this video helped you. If it does, comment again and share it with someone or a group in need out there, because we need this information to get into support groups and forums. People need to understand that there's nothing abnormal going on here. It's a set of mental and emotional patterns that we are focusing and healing on this channel. I love you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.